Chris Mannix is a jack of all trades, master of two, master of NBA and master of boxing. Chris, I know you've been out in Vegas all week for the fight. What's it like out there? Is it as crazy as I would imagine it is?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up, no question. On Tuesday, they had their grand arrivals, and they had these rallies, and the arenas were filled for people just showing up to see them, pop their face out there for the first time. The MGM Grand it's sold out. I mean, you can't walk to the lobby these days without, it takes half an hour to walk 50 feet. It's that mob, so it's going to be a scene. It really is, and today's the day of the weigh-in. They're selling tickets for it. First time they've ever sold tickets for a weigh-in. It's wild.
How does it compare to like Super Bowl week? Similar?
I mean, I've actually never been to a Super Bowl week, so I don't know, the answer to that. But people say that this event in general is comparable to a Super Bowl, if not in terms of the crowd, in terms of just the scarcity of tickets. I mean, tickets went on sale last week, and they sold out in about 60 seconds. And we're writing a story about this later on SI.com about people from sultans overseas are calling, looking for tickets. People offering up their life savings are looking for tickets. Everyone's trying to get their hands on them, and they can't. I'll tell you one really funny story about these tickets that I heard the other day was that because they're so afraid of counterfeiting, people have to actually physically go up and get their tickets. They have to show up at a certain area and pick up their tickets. And for celebrities, they can't send like an assistant. They can't have these tickets mailed to them. So if like a TMZ could ever find out where this area is, you'll have like Tom Brady lined up behind Mark Wahlberg, lined up behind Leonardo DiCaprio. It'll be the most star-studded scene you've ever seen, actually.
Are all guys like that? Are those guys all going?
Everybody's going, man. Everyone has tried desperately to get tickets. The people from HBO and Showtime have told me they've turned down Oscar winners. They won't specifically tell me, as much hard as I try, who they are, but they've turned down Oscar winners looking for tickets. It's a very, very tough ticket to get.
I always feel like, Chris, that in terms of fights, you got to have good versus evil, that kind of gets the most attention. Is there a good versus evil component to this?
Well, it's a narrative, Ross, that they're trying to push because, it does create an easy storyline. Mayweather obviously could easily slip into the evil role just because of his persona, the domestic violence history that he has. But, painting Pacquiao as this, angelic figure is a little bit laughable. I mean, he has had this sort of Christian rebirth, but he's only a couple of years removed from being one of the greatest womanizers in sports. I mean, he's a self-admitted guy who was unfaithful a lot to his wife. We've written about this over time. So he's maybe less evil than Mayweather, but I wouldn't paint him with that good brush.
What really took so long to get this fight going?
It's a lot of variables. I think ego played a big role in it. Neither one of these guys wanted to budge. But at the end of the day, it's about money. And Pacquiao, for a long time, wanted a 50-50 split. Mayweather said, no way, I'm the biggest star. So for this fight, Pacquiao agreed to a 40% split. They're splitting it in the pot 60-40. And even though he's going to make north of $100 million for this fight, Pacquiao, that's a considerable amount of money that he's leaving on the table. That's probably $20 to $25 million at least that he's leaving on the table. So his willingness to come down and meet Floyd's financial demand, you can talk about all the other ancillary issues all you want, but ultimately it comes down to money, and Pacquiao took a cut rate.
Talking with Chris Mannix, does a really nice job for Sports Illustrated covering the NBA. He's a boxing writer as well. You can see him doing boxing stuff on NBCSN as well. The other thing you hear all the time, Chris, is that styles make fights. So what are the styles for these guys, and is that going to make the fight?
It's not going to be Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward. I mean, it won't be that type of fight, but I do think it has a great chance to be an aesthetically pleasing fight. 5 years ago when this fight should have happened, it actually might have been a worse fight to the eye just because Mayweather was so elusive. He was so quick on his feet. Now he's almost 39 years old. He's been through some wars in the ring. He's not as quick with his foot speed. He's going to have to stay in the middle of the ring and trade more. And Pacquiao's never been one to shy away from a punch. In fact, almost his entire game plan is predicated on taking one or two Floyd Mayweather punches so he can give back 3 or 4. So I think this has a great chance of being a very good stylistic fight, one that, will determine who the best fighter is right now, and also be something that, people don't sit back and say, boy, I wish I didn't pay $100 for that.
What's your prediction?
Yeah, it's like, betting against Mayweather is like betting against the San Antonio Spurs. You just don't do it until they stop winning. And Mayweather, everyone talks about how, Mayweather can be roughed up. Jose Luis Castillo was this guy that roughed him up back in 2002, and that set the blueprint. Well, Castillo lost, and everyone that's tried to rough Mayweather up ultimately lost. People say, well, a southpaw can give Mayweather problems. Pacquiao's a southpaw. Well, Mayweather's 8-0 against southpaws. So everyone that's given Mayweather problems over the last couple of years, really the entirety of his career, has been beaten. So I'm leaning towards Mayweather by decision. That's the favorite Las Vegas odd, and I don't see any reason to doubt that.
Well, based upon what you just said there, comparing Mayweather to the Spurs, I'm guessing you're not believing that the Clippers can close out San Antonio Saturday night.
No, I mean, look, last year, what was it? They went 7 games with Dallas in the first round. You just can't bet against them. They just have no fear. Like, they could lose a game 6, shrug their shoulders, okay, let's go out and let's just win the game 7. I mean, they take a very business-like approach to everything, and I'm not saying the Clippers can't do it, but, again, until they lose, why would anyone possibly doubt their ability to win these closing games?
Does it hurt them, Chris, given their age, playing in these 7-game series when Golden State and these other teams are closing out these teams so quickly? Do you think that could catch up to San Antonio when they face Golden State, if they face Golden State?
Oh, absolutely. And I think Golden State is the likeliest of scenarios just because everyone seems to be clearing a path for them at this point. They get the Pelicans in the first round. They sweep them. Second round, we have no idea when or if Mike Conley's going to play for the Grizzlies. And if he doesn't play, that could be a 5-game series. You get to a conference finals and it's San Antonio, Golden State, and Golden State's played a total of like 9 games versus 15 or 14 for San Antonio in the first 2 rounds. That can absolutely take its toll. But, Ross, these guys have been so well managed over the course of the regular season. Tim Duncan averages like 25 minutes per game in the regular season. That's why he's so capable of going out and giving you 42 in the postseason. These guys are well rested. And, frankly, it's somewhat of a myth that the Spurs are an old team. Tim Duncan is old, but Kawhi Leonard is young. Danny Green is young. Tony Parker is still, in some ways, young. Old really only applies to Duncan and Manu Ginobili. The rest of these guys are fully capable of going deep into the postseason.
We're talking with Chris Mannix. He's the guy you got to follow, whether it's the NBA or boxing. He's all over both, been out there in Vegas all week. Watching the Bulls last night a little bit and what they did to the Bucks, in my mind, Chris, I feel like the Bulls were like, wait a minute, Kevin Love's out for 4 to 6 months. We're going to the NBA Finals. We are going to the NBA Finals. Am I reading too much into that, or are they looking at it and thinking that they now have an even better opportunity or almost an easy road to get to the finals?
Well, I think they looked at that in what that game, Game 5 against Milwaukee, when I think they read their press clippings a little bit too much after Kevin Love went down, and everyone was saying exactly what you're saying. And Derrick Rose is playing better. Oh my God, this is Tom Thibodeau and Chicago's chance to walk to the finals. But they have every right, and Bulls fans have every right to be optimistic about this team's chances. I mean, Kevin Love would have been such a difference maker in a series against Chicago because they like to keep their bigs in the middle of the paint. I'm talking Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah, even Taj Gibson, who can float out in the perimeter a little bit. Now, with Tristan Thompson likely being the guy eating up most of Kevin Love's minutes, Thompson's a paint-oriented player. He's not going to force Gasol or Noah to play on the outside. It plays right into the Bulls' greatest strength. I mean, I think that outside of LeBron James, I'm not sure losing anyone other than Kevin Love would have been more disastrous in this particular series for the Cavaliers.
And then the only other question I had for you, I know Paulie has one too, but it seems to me
I don't talk to Paulie.
Well, hey, it seemed to me like on some level that you could compare what Golden State and Atlanta did in the regular season. Why is everybody totally bought in on Golden State and totally out on Atlanta?
It's the lack of a go-to player for the Hawks, and I'll admit I was wrong about this. I thought the Hawks would get to the postseason, keep rolling, no issues whatsoever. But I was talking to Chauncey Billups about this the other day, and just not having that guy who wants the ball in the fourth quarter, who hears the crowd and says, "Bleep this! I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to score it. I want this moment." Missing that is a major factor for the Hawks. Jeff Teague hasn't done it. Al Horford hasn't been able to do it. On the flip side, you've got Golden State, which in addition to being one of the best regular season teams in NBA history, also has a guy like Steph Curry who's not afraid of the big moment and can make any shot he wants.
Paulie, what do you got?
Got a quick fight question for you, Mannix. So where will you be during the fight? And do they have post-fight parties like the winner? Does he have a post-fight party, and will you attend?
We're trying desperately. I mean, getting access to these guys has been, I don't even know if there's words for it. It's been so difficult over the last 3 weeks trying to get close to these guys. But they do have post-fight parties. During the fight, I'll probably be third or fourth row. They put the press pretty close for these types of events, so I'll get a good seat. And depending on who wins, my colleague and I, Greg Bishop, are going to do everything we possibly can to get into these post-fight parties to set a scene.
Wow, that sounds good. Good question, Paulie. It's better than my question. See?
Paulie, don't give him too much credit.
Chris, appreciate the time. Have fun, man. Enjoy yourself.
By the way, Ross, doing a terrific job the last couple of days. Every time I check my Twitter, though, you're filling in. It's always something about me sucking. It's like I'm not even there, and it's like, Mannix sucks. I don't understand this whatsoever. I'm not even there.
I saw a couple of those. I don't know how to respond to that. I didn't favor to retweet.
Feel free. I'm just perplexed by it all.
Well, I think it's because you're the normal fill-in, right? Or you're the more regular fill-in.
I just think I draw this negativity for some reason over some listeners and viewers of the show that just, even when I'm not there, it comes out.
So are you kind of like the McLovin of fill-ins?
I guess, but please don't compare me to him.
Well, I was going to throw out a theory, maybe because it's true.
Wow. Oh, man.
Right.
McLovin.
Listen, Milquetoast. Go back to sitting in your corner.
Hey, thanks, Chris.
You got it, guys.
All right, there he is, Chris Mannix. I like that guy. That last line is why I like him.